very good morning and welcome to a new episode of Melt. I'm Ritvika Gupta, reporting from my home. And on the show today, we are going to talk about how the ongoing pandemic has impacted companies in the business of experiential marketing. The lockdown has led to cancellation of live experiences worldwide. Agencies have had to shift efforts to alternative strategies, with virtual events becoming the new normal. To understand the road ahead for experiential marketing, we'll be speaking to Roshan Abbas, Managing Director at Geometry and Compass. And joining me today is Anant Rangaswamy, Editor of Melt. Anant, so based on your chat with Roshan Abbas, what are brands and agencies in this space doing to survive and stay relevant in these times? And how do you think the future of experiential will look like in the post COVID world?
Morning, Ritvika. It's very complicated. I keep having conversations the whole day with various stakeholders in the whole marketing community, with the whole Marcoms community, actually. And the saddest stories I'm hearing are from what we loosely call event management companies, because they are in the business fundamentally of production, live events, which are dependent on sponsorship, ticket sales, exhibitions, and so on. All these businesses got wiped out. So I thought it's time to talk to somebody senior in the business and try and get a sense of what event management or experiential marketing 2.0 will look like. And there's nobody better than Roshan for something like this. He works with brands the whole day in his personal capacity and in his business capacity. So he's got a great insight into where the business is heading. So let's talk to him.
Thanks, Anant. Well, before taking a look at the conversation, he is informing our viewers that the interview was shot on Skype. We apologize for the patchy stream. On that note, let's get ready to melt with Roshan Abbas.
Roshan, good to see you.
Great to see you virtually. I wish this could be at Toto's or some other place, but
Well, it can't. So that's the point of this conversation. It's there are many parts of the communication business, and perhaps one of the hardest hit is going to be the sort of event space. Now, this is a statement I'm making, and you may agree, you may not agree, and that's why we are talking. So
no, I
tell me,
agree. I agree.
we hear about the Olympics being cancelled, the Premier League in limbo, US football is stopped, baseball is stopped, the biggest concerts in the world, you probably would have been in Amsterdam listening to Clapton. All these are stopped. So what is the impact on your business? When I say right now, it's a narrow business of geometry and compass, and then we go to the larger business of experiential.
Firstly, yes, obviously, we are all in the 90% of or 100% of traditional event management business is in getting people together socially,
Right.
and creating some amount of excitement or some buzz or some PR around, people gathering together, whether it's in a press conference, whether it's in a concert, whether it's in a stadium, etc. It could just be a convention and thing. So that part of the business of assembly, is absolutely affected. I don't think anybody has gone out and been able to do a live event. We were still able to do some activation because it was related to essential services,
Right.
but otherwise we couldn't. So the event part of everyone's business is down to, possibly, as I'm saying, the traditional guys down to zero. But
Right.
for us at Geometry and Compass, we've always had planning, shopper, retail, and a lot of our experiences were becoming phygital. Now,
Hmm.
very, very bastardized word. Everyone's been using it for the longest time now. But the understanding is we're not a digital agency. But if you can understand how to create elements of live events on the digital medium, the medium has changed, right?
Right.
You consume content and get emotionally triggered by watching great content on the screen. You listen to music and sing along on the screen. The only thing is, how do you create a shared experience? Because the power of assembly was the shared applause, the shared gossip, the shared noise, the shared singing, the hug, the touch, all of those. So the business of touch is gone, but the business of virtual touch and virtual emotions totally exists for creators who can adapt and adopt to technology quickly. And there we are seeing great success. So we launched a division 3 weeks back called Prodigy. So we said, there is digital. We don't want to be calling ourselves a digital agency. Prodigy is actually going to bring the best of what we knew from live to the world of digital. For example, right now you and I are having a conversation. Every day at 8 p.m., most artists press this go live button and go live. But what is the professional way of going live? How do you engage with the audience that is in your comment section? How do you do things from polls to chats to sharing quizzes to building? So interaction can be created. And Anand, in the last 2 weeks, we did a concert online with a semi-classical singer called Rahul Deshpande, who was based in Pune. We had over 5,000 people on a Zoom webinar watching, listening, and I was playing the host constantly, interacting with the chat they were doing. So somebody would say, I'm watching this with my father, and I would immediately respond to that. That is live.
Right.
I would
Now,
build conversations, and I mean, we built a whole lot of things that people could share pictures, bring in images, bring in memories. So you will have to just think as an experiential designer designing for a new medium. And having done that, we have now got a weekly engagement happening. The difference, Anant, is this time on Facebook, there were over 10 lakh people who viewed that content over a period of 4 days, and 5,000 live here and at least 70,000 during the live there. So some clients are now turning to me and saying, okay, yes, we will do the shared experience, but isn't this more efficient at times? So again, I think there is a whole new business emerging. People need to understand it, adopt it, innovate, and go.
right. Now, you use the word business. Till now, that word had not come up in the conversation.
Right.
Now, in a pre-coronavirus world, the revenue for a large live event was, say, sponsorship, ticket sales, and then maybe stalls or exhibition areas and so on and so forth. Now, when I go phygital, how do I compensate for the loss of that income? Because your
So,
artist cost or many of your costs are real and they don't change. Or do
So,
they
so number
change?
one, they change. They change.
Right.
Number one, artists are automatically understanding that this medium requires for a readjustment on costs. I think most artists are pliable to the extent of 30 to 50%, definitely.
Right.
The struggle is the artist doesn't want to come across as unprofessional, and they are saying that regularly they would have a whole scenario built around them from set, light, sound, dancers, musicians, technicians, etc. Now, those of us who are being able to bring this to them are finding the artist slowly developing comfort with you, saying, I am willing to work. It's like how people would choose a warrant to do sound.
Right.
Artists are turning and saying, I want to work with that agency, they make me look good,
Right.
even on digital. So there is a big
Right.
advantage there. The
Right.
second part of the revenue, sponsor revenue, Anand, we did on the 8th of March as commune, we did a Women's Day event where we were paid the same money that we would have been paid for a concert as a sponsor would have paid us. But our metrics changed. Our metrics became call to action. Our metric became number of views. Our metric became engagement. Thankfully, we have a digital team that was doing it all along. So
Right.
we're able to extract the same money. You're able to do that. Now, what will happen is when you do an event, what happens to the other sale, which was the stall sale? If I can create something interesting for Asian Paints in the middle of an online engagement, which happens live, say, for example, post 20 pictures, post a picture of the backdrop of your wall, of your favorite wall, in the middle of the chat.
Right.
When people do that, there is a live engagement. So again, I'm saying people will need to go back to live and say, am I of relevance to the client? If a client says, the only relevance to me was my dealer hugging the other dealer, I can't do that. But I can try to bring about some amount of virtual. Also remember, our costs, 70 to 80% of our costs used to be given to providers. They wouldn't come
Right.
to us.
Right.
So, so therefore, my revenue part was in the 10 to 15% play, which normally people used to, again, traditional event managers would charge a percentage on the cost. We started changing this sometime back where we said, no, we need to be paid a fee and you need to pay a creative fee. And there is a writer who's being employed and other people are coming. Now, some brands will not pay you that. Some brands will. The brands who do are seeing the power of that. that somebody who understands, oh no, on online this works better, etc., you will pay for those experts. So 20 years ago, Anant, I remember I was doing a podcasting workshop with a comedian last week, Kenny. And I said, Kenny, why are you doing podcasting today? You're so popular. He said 9 years ago when I took a mic and I stood in front of a crowd at a bar and they said, listen, shut up, let us have our drink. Today I am where I am because I adopted early. I was the
Right.
early innovator. It's the early innovator time again for this business. It's when we did our first conference, people turned and said, what? I remember a client once telling me, I use one slide projector, I do acetate slides. Why do I need the rest of this? And I said, I'll tell you what, don't pay us till after the show. So this is actually the time to go out and say, pay me if you feel it's effective.
What are the conversations you're having with marketers at this time? What are the kind of things they're asking you for, or what are the kind of things you're proposing proactively?
So the first thing that we're being asked for, number one, is to, and in veiled ways, people are saying, prove that you're still relevant. Now, again, if you were a traditional, I will provide you satellite sound, you're irrelevant.
Mm.
You can go to 20 digital agencies and say, I want a great webinar. But who has made doing a webinar into an expertise? Because there is an expertise.
Right.
I've seen good webinars, I've seen average, and I've seen, oh my God, people who seem clueless on a screen. So there are tons of new services. So firstly, tell them that you know your business and you know this part of the business. The second is, don't ask them what's the problem I can solve for you. So most people are talking about either revenue or relevance. If you can come up with an idea that can generate revenue, the brand will still give you the job. But they may have 10 other people right now also going after the same thing. Again, for the longest time, our conversations have been about how advertising, etc., have become lazy. And why digital had stolen a march was because they were constantly being able to prove by metrics, of to people about their efficiency. And then, of course, those metrics also became questionable at some point. So the experiential provider who can turn and say, hey, listen, I will do this thing live for you and I will get you X number of bookings. I'll get you X number of connections. I'll get you X number amount of sale. 101% the client is having the conversation. The other thing which they're doing is whenever live starts again, and it may be a 3 to 6 month window minimum, I don't see this live business going on ground till a vaccine is found. And after a vaccine is found, a vaccine's dissemination, I mean, look at the size of our country.
Right.
So we have to overcome fear and many other things. People are talking about hotels where you will get into a room and then after the person has checked out for 3 days, no one else can check into the room. I just keep wondering, how will the hotel survive or the restaurant survive or anyone else? I feel a lot of the things that we used to do, conferences, for example, I want to listen to Anant. I'm happy to listen to him like this. I have to meet Anant and I need to network with 20 other people in the room. Maybe I still need to go for the dinner at night. So people will start making choices. Will that dinner be in sanitized boxes? I saw an image from Amsterdam yesterday where they've set up glass houses which can only be used by 2 people at a time, with a waiter standing outside taking the order on a glass tray, giving you the thing. Now you have the intimacy within.
Right.
You and I could have gone there. I'm in my head, I'm sure Anant is safe. I'm safe. We both go there. That area has been sanitized 100%. They've run a UV thing. They've run X amount of other things on it. Maybe that will become the new normal. But there will be innovators who will find the way.
Okay, now to the other side, you're talking about yourself and about Geometry and Compass and what you all are doing. What about the normal event management industry? 80% of your peers, what happens to them?
So I mean, I'm on a lot of conversations with many of them, and I can see them struggling with the fact. I mean, the first panic reaction everybody had is cut staff, cut salaries, send people on furloughs. I do not advocate that. I mean, I know at some stage no organization in a business will be able to do this, but for however long that you can, you need to be able to support them. Many of them are trying to see if they can reskill people, but then they fail by saying, but what skills? They haven't even explored that. What they are currently finding a lot of support in is the power of actually just bringing heads together. So every day there are at least 3 or 4, conversations, webinars, etc., where people are trying to find solutions. But I think it's an honest struggle.
Right. Okay, now it comes to the event business, your business, the older business. Now you spoke about an artist. An artist came
with his makeup artist and his entourage and so on and so forth. All of which had cost attached. For example, if you invited an artist from here to Delhi, all these people had to travel with them. Now, when
Right.
I see a lot of these lockdown films, well, obviously the person is dressing himself or herself, and 5 minutes later she's on a chair acting. So, what happens to those industries, those peripheral industries?
So there was a brilliant activation that happened last year where a brand created a virtual wardrobe that you could wear for Instagram, because the brand's insight was most people on Instagram just wanted to look good.
Right,
And they had done such great 3D modeling that if there was a shirt, it would have the creases that your shirt or my shirt would have right now to make it look real. And the campaign went ballistic. People purchased a virtual wardrobe. Again, the traditional physical person will have to wait till such time that they can physically apply the makeup or do whatever.
right,
What they can provide as as a service at a reduced price is still to tell an actor saying, listen, don't put this profile on camera, do this profile, take
right,
the comb and do this. So you can get into the styling service, if not the servicing service. Right?
right,
You may not be applying the makeup, but you could be telling people to apply the makeup. The number of online tutorials, learnings that have gone on has happened. I was telling two of my friends yesterday, why not a tutorial about how to look better on your webinars and Zoom calls and conversations? Because everybody is looking just as normal as they can, but vanity will come into play.
right,
Now, here is where there will be virtual makeup artists, there will be virtual lighting directors, there'll be people who will be able to tell you how you can use your phone camera right now and put the second angle. It is going to be every time, you and I have had this chat. When radio became television, the sitcom was innovated because initially the radio guys sat behind a table and used a mic because they knew nothing else.
right,
But when they bought theater professionals and showed them the camera and showed them a setup, they said, hey, we could do a play and your camera could move and an audience could be seated. And that's why the traditional sitcom used to be people performing in an audience, because the theater guys use their mind. Then
right.
somebody said, why do we need an audience? We can use virtual laughter, or we can use a laugh track. You know, technology and artists, technology and creators together, just let them in and let them play.
I'm going to close this by asking you one question. I want a crisp answer, so take a bit of time to think of the answer. So, 1 year from now, post lockdown, and maybe the lockdown will still be there, we don't know. Uh, what would you say is the difference between the Geometry and Compass in 2021 May versus 2020 May?
Prodigy will become our largest source of revenue
Right,
because it will provide live experiences digitally. Data will come into play in a very big way. Our consulting practice and our creative and content practices will move up. I do believe there will be a dramatic change in the manpower allocation of the agency. Um, we will have to shift certain services, maybe outsource them as we go forward. But we will be a far more, data-driven, digitally charged agency, still providing solutions that translate into commerce.
perfect. Thank you so much, Roshan, and all the best. Catch up
Thank you.
soon, post lockdown, hopefully. Cheers,
Thank
Hamza.
you. Thank you.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.
And that was Roshan Abbas telling us how brands are reworking their experiential marketing strategies to stay relevant today. It's time for us to now quickly move on and take a look at our selection of ads for this week's Creative Picks. My first pick of the week is an ad by Cadbury. The brand has brought back its heartwarming jingle, Kuch Khas Hai, to thank people for not giving up during the lockdown. The ad, made in black and white, is a montage of images and videos. From a kid's first birthday to a couple's 50th anniversary, the minute-long ad features stories of people finding innovative ways to celebrate their special moments while they're at home. But what makes it special is the jingle. This ad is yet another example of how brands are hitting the nostalgia button to evoke a sense of familiarity and comfort in these uncertain times. Take a look. pick of the week is an ad by Adidas. Titled Ready for Sport, this is an uplifting ad reminding people just how incredible sport is going to feel when it returns. Created using stock footage and existing campaign material, the script is powerful, inspiring, and targets Adidas's audience, which includes sport lovers and athletes. Overall, the ad focuses on the anticipation and the excitement of the return of sport when all this is over. Have a look.
While the world waits, let's remember. We will run again. We will freeze in the stands again, and sprint and sweat and fly, and still be late for practice again. We'll meet on the mat again, and be spellbound by legends. We'll witness the haka again, and be grateful. We'll watch Dame do Dame again. We'll be cute and turn on to Bolston again. We'll compete again and create again. And when the time comes, we will be ready.
Next, we have an ad by Fortune Foods. In its latest campaign, Aap Kya Bana Rahe Hain, the brand showcases a montage of shot-at-home videos featuring people trying to cook, exploring new recipes, and basically reconnecting with loved ones through Ghar Ka Khana. Well, most of us have developed or rediscovered a love for cooking during this period. Therefore, it is a very relatable ad that also works for the brand.
हर घर में नई रेसिपीज ट्राई हो रही हैं। हर घर में नए कुक तैयार हो रहे हैं। ज्यादा नमक डाल के अंकल परेशान हो गए हैं। ये है अपने सिंह साहब, पहली बार डोसा बना रहे हैं। दादाजी YouTube पर रेसिपीज देखे जा रहे हैं। अपनी बनाई टेढ़ी मेढ़ी लूची भैया फोन पे किसे खिला रहे हैं। आज घर के सब लोग कुछ ना कुछ पका रहे हैं। जरा सी मेहनत करके अपना प्यार जता रहे हैं। अब आप भी बताइए, आप क्या बना रहे हैं? फॉर्च्यून एडिबल ऑयल्स एंड फूड्स, घर का खाना होता है।
And finally, I want to talk about a series of posters created by McCann Belgrade for its latest campaign, Support the Doctors, because they are our real heroes. An incredibly powerful message sits behind the images. The posters feature faces of doctors with skin marks left behind by the protective gears they constantly use. But upon a closer look, you'll actually find that the doctors have been turned into superheroes like Spider-Man, Batman, and Iron Man through the same markings on their faces. The ads are creative, minimal, and strongly convey that doctors are indeed the real superheroes. And well, that's a wrap on this episode of Melt. Do follow us on social media. Our handle is Ready to Melt. You can also stay informed on what's happening in the world of advertising and marketing with our daily Melt update on our website, readytomelt.com. And I'll see you next week, same time, same place. Goodbye.